let's do the first 8, then I'll go over that bonus one with the double at the end. So you don't have to do it tomorrow if you don't want to. Okay, the polynomial ones, the factoring ones, okay? Always look for a GCF. When we factor, and there is a GCF for this one, it is the letter x. And then I get x squared minus 25. But that's a difference of 2 perfect squares, so we can factor it a little further. And you take the square root of x squared for the front of each parenthesis, and the square root of 25 for the back. And one's addition and one's subtraction. Okay? And it has a degree of 3 in the beginning. It's x cubed, so there's 3 answers. So one of my answers is 0, because it's just that variable x. And then x plus 5 equals 0. And x minus 5 equals 0. So this is a 5. And this one is a negative 5. So there's our 3 answers. The polynomial ones, these first 2, you don't have to check to see if they work. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, number 2 also has a GCF. This has an x to the 4th to start, so I'm thinking there should be 4 answers. Okay, so the GCF this time is x squared, and then I get x squared minus 3x minus 40, which is one of those regular trinomials that are easy because a is 1. So it's just x times x for the x squared. I'm looking for factors of negative 40 that add up to negative 3, which would be a negative 8 times a positive 5 is negative 40, and then negative 8 plus 5 is the negative 3. So again, since that's x squared, I still set it equal to 0. And then the x minus 8 and the x plus 5. Again, I want to subtract 5 here for this answer. Here I'm going to add 8. So 0 plus 8 is 8. Here I'm going to take the square root, but what is the square root of 0? I'm supposed to put plus or minus, but really for 0, it's just 0, right? But basically 0 works twice is what we're saying. So there's 2 answers, 2 zeros, an 8, and a negative 5. So I do have 4 answers, even though it's basically 3. Any questions on the 2 factoring ones? Very similar tomorrow. Okay, always look for a GCF, and then finish it up, whatever type it is. Okay? There's 4 terms we've grouped, right? But like I said, they're going to be very similar to those 2. So, we okay with those 2? No questions? Okay. So for 3 and 4, we have 2 fraction problems. Number 3 is a proportion. So when we solve proportions, we can just cross multiply. Don't have to worry about finding a common denominator. Okay, so it's just going to be 3 times 2x minus 7 equals 5 times x plus 2 when I cross multiply. So I distribute my 3, it's 6x minus 21, and distribute my 5, 5x plus 10. And And then I'm going to bring the 5x over to the 6x by subtracting. I'm also going to add the 21 over to the 10 to move it. So the 5x's are gone, the 21's are gone. 6x minus 5x is x, and 10 plus 21 is 31. These I'm supposed to check. 31 plus 2 is okay. 2 times 31 is 62, minus 7 is 55. So it's okay. I'm looking for not getting a 0 in the bottom, right? Any questions on that one? Okay, number 4, we got 3 terms. So we have to figure out the common denominator. Morning, Dominic. Thanks. And there's only one denominator, so it's easy to figure out what the common denominator is. So when we have one of these, all right, we use that common denominator, which again is the only denominator, and I multiply the whole equation by x plus 4. Okay? When I take this fraction, this first one on the left, and multiply it by x plus 4, the x plus 4's cancel each other, so all it leaves me is the 3x. Okay? Sometimes we forget this part. You got to multiply the 2 by x plus 4 also. So don't forget that. And then this fraction here, 12 over x plus 4 times x plus 4. Again, the x plus 4 is canceled, so it's just minus 12. So that's why we do that. Multiply by that common denominator. That way we get rid of those fractions. Now it's a pretty easy problem. Distribute your 2, and then get x by itself. I'll bring the 2x over. I'll get x, and then 8 minus 12 is a negative 4. But when I check it, go back to this original problem, what's negative 4 plus 4? 0. So can I use negative 4 as my answer? No. So I can't use it because I get a 0 in the denominator when I plug it in to the original problem. All right? So you're going to have a proportion 1. And you're going to have one like this. It only has one. It only has one denominator, so you multiply everything by that denominator. Very similar. Yeah, you can say no solution. You don't have to put the 0 line. But check, right? From here on out, right, it says check your solutions on your directions. So from 3 through 8, always check to make sure it works or not. If it doesn't, then we don't use it as an answer. Okay, any other questions on the fraction ones? Okay, the next 2 are radical ones. When we do these, we want to get the radical part, the square root part alone. So this has a 6 with it, so I got to move the 6 to the other side first. So we're going to add it to move it. And then I got the square root of x minus 4 equals 6. Okay, to get rid of the square root symbol, we square both sides. Okay, so I'm taking this square root of x minus 4 and squaring it, and this 6 and squaring it. The square root of something squared is itself, so that radical is gone. And then 6 squared, remember, is 36. And then just add your 4 to finish up. And then you're supposed to check it. Make sure it works. So 40 minus 4 is 36, and the square root of 36 is 6, and 6 minus 6 is 0, so it works. Doesn't Doesn't take long to check it. Number 6. Again, we want to get the radical part, square root part, by itself. Okay, so I have to take the 3 to the other side by subtracting it. So I have x minus 3 and 3 minus x square root. So again, now that I got that radical isolated, I just square both sides. Simple, right? Okay, now here's where some of you get messed up on this left side. This right side, just 3 minus x. Some of you just put x squared plus 9 here. Okay, that's not correct. Remember, it means x minus 3 times x minus 3. So you're going to have to FOIL it if you write it twice, or here's the shortcut. You take the x and you square it. You multiply the x and the negative 3, which is negative 3x, but you got to double that, or times 2, so it's actually negative 6x in the middle. And then you square the negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 3 is plus 9. So a lot of mistakes are kids just putting x squared plus 9. They forget about the negative 6x's. Okay? Don't forget about that tomorrow. Now it's got that x squared in it, so it's turned into a quadratic equation like the ones we did last week. You got to set it equal to 0 to finish up. So I got a 0 on the right now. 9 minus 3 is 6. Negative 6 plus 1 is a negative 5. My x squared. Okay, you can use the quadratic formula if you want, or if you can good at factoring, this one's easy to factor. Again, it's 1 for my a value, so it's x times x. And to get a positive 6 multiplied and added to get negative 5, it's a negative 3 times negative 2 is a positive 6. And a negative 3 plus a negative 2 is the negative 5. So I got 2 answers here. Oops. I get x equals 3 and x equals 2. Usually when we get 2 answers of these, one of them doesn't work. So we got to check them. All right? So 3 and 2 here. There's the original. So I put 3 in for x. So right here and here I had to put a 3. Okay? So I get, that stays 3. 3 minus 3 is 0. The square root of 0 is 0. Plus 3 is 3, so that works. So 3 is okay. Okay, if I put a 2 in for x, I get 2, and then 3 plus, and then 3 minus 2 is 1. The square root of 1 is 1. That says 2 is 4. Is that true? No, right? So the 2 is the one that doesn't work. So the only answer is 3. Questions? Simple, right? And then the last 2 are even easier than the rest of what we've done so far, aren't they? So, again, this is our last quiz for the 9 weeks. So let's do well on this one. Okay? So number 7 is 2x to the 3 halves minus 31. Okay? So just like we always do, we want to get that x isolated. So I got to move the 31 and the 2 over. All right, so you're going to add 31. 2x to the 2 or 3 halves. And that's what, 54. And divided by 2. Okay, so now I got to get it to be x. I want it to be x to the first. So what I do is I take this to the reciprocal power. Put it in parentheses, that 2/3. Okay? And it's the caret. Don't forget, it's not 27 times 2/3. It's 27 to the 2/3 power. Okay. I look at this original numerator. Is that an odd or even number? Do I need to worry about the plus or minus thing? No. If it's even, then I got to put plus or minus in my answer. Okay, so I don't have to worry about this one. And then I just use my calculator to find that answer. So 27, there's my caret right above division, parenthesis, 2 divided by 3. Don't forget about the parentheses. So we get 9. Okay, the last one, I made it even easier for you. Oh, it's already got the x by itself. So all you got to do is raise it to the 4/3 power. Again, it started out as an odd, so I don't have to worry about my plus or minus symbol. So 125 caret 4 divided by 3. So 625. Okay, so I didn't make it that difficult. Right? Finish strong. But we got that one bonus one if you want to do that tomorrow for a few more points. Okay? So when you've got two radicals, you got to get one alone. It doesn't matter which one you move over. Matt, I'll give you the choice. You want to move the 6 minus x over or the 5x plus 6 over?
5x plus 6.
Okay. You got to subtract it. Okay, so then I got 6 minus x equals 6 minus square root of 5x 6. So then I'm going to square both sides. Okay, so on the left it's really easy, it's just 6 minus x. On the right, two terms, so it's like foiling again. Write them twice and FOIL, or use the shortcut. Square the 6. Multiply 6 times this negative radical 5x plus 6, which is negative 6 radical 5x plus 6, times 2. Remember, double it. So it's a minus 12. And then square this. It's always addition, and it's just the 5x plus 6, right? The square root goes away. That's what it looks like. All right, so I still have this radical on this side. So I'm going to bring all this other stuff over. The 36, the 6, the 5x, and then I'm going to take the 12 over here in a second, too, to make it easier. So 36 plus 6 is 42. So I'm going to subtract 42. And I'm going to subtract 5x. Okay. So 6 minus 42 is a negative 36. And then negative 1x minus 5x is a negative 6x. So I get negative 12 and then 5x plus 6. Okay? So, we could take this 12 over. I guess we can do that. Let's do this, see if we make it easier. I don't know if that makes it easier for you or not, though. Negative 36 divided by negative 12 is 3, and negative 6 divided by negative 12 is a positive 1/2. X equals 5x plus 6. So we're getting a fraction in there. I don't know if you guys like that or not. Okay? So then, I want to square both sides. Let's do it different color. Sure I did something right. It was addition. Okay, 6 minus x, 5x plus 6. Okay. All right, so on the right, it's this 5x plus 6. And the ones tomorrow, the bonus ones, won't have a fraction in it. They're a little easier, but we're going to square the 3. And 3 times a half is 3 halves. Doubled would be 3. Okay? So 3 times 1/2 is 3 halves x, times 2 would be 6 halves, which is 3. And then square the 1/2, that's 1/4. Okay? I don't like that 1/4. But we'll be all right. Gotta set it equal to 0. So I got my 0. Let's put it in the right order. So the 1/4 will go in the front. And that's a negative 2x. And that's a 3. So that's kind of a pain to factor. Yes, Cameron?
What happened to the 6 up top? Like when you subtracted 5x, there's another plus 6 in there.
Right, I went 36 plus 6, 42, and then I subtracted a 42.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions? So I'm going to use the quadratic formula since I got that 1/4 there for A. All right, so x equals negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4 times a times c over 2 times a. All right, so that gives me 2 plus or minus, and this is 2/4 or 1/2. And then I got 4, and that's negative 3. 4 times the 4th is 1, negative 1, because it's minus 4, times 3 is negative 3. So positive 4 minus 3, you square root of 1. What is the square root of 1? Connor, what's the square root of 1? Yeah, very good. You are all over this, right? All right, so I got 2 answers. 2 plus 1, 3 over a half, which is 3 times 2, right? And 2 minus 1 is 1 over a half, which is 1 times 2, 2. 6 and 2. Let's see which one works. All right, what's 6 minus 6? 0. What's the square root of 0? 0, okay. What's 5 times 6? 30 plus 6 is 36. What's the square root of 36? 6. 0 plus 6 equals 6? Yeah. What was the other one we got? 2? 6 minus 2 is 4. The square root of 4 is 2. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 6 is 16. The square root of 16 is 4. Oh, they both work, huh? So this time they both work. Again, the one that you have tomorrow for a bonus like that won't have any fractions in it. But it's like that. It's going to have two, radicals. You're going to have to move one over, square both sides, get everything on the other side, then square both sides again. And finish it up. And again, you don't have to do it, but a few extra bonus points might help. If you're on the bubble between an A and a B or B and a C. Any questions? Okay, so tomorrow quiz. Like I said, Thursday we'll do some ACT practice stuff. And Friday I'll have a little ACT bonus that you can do and get some more bonus points for yourself if you need some.